Hey guys, this is Pedro, and I'm back with a brand new interview again, covering the prelude to the 2024 VCT Americas kickoff event. I'm here accompanied by Zikz, the newest head coach for 100 Thieves ahead of the competition. So Zikz, thank you so much. Like I said before, I just want to start off this conversation by just covering you joining 100 Thieves from EG. And so at this moment in time, what's the feeling like for you now that we're close to the start of the season and now everything can just get rolling?
It feels good. I'm really excited to get things started. It's been quite a long time since I've been a head coach, so that's been something I've been once again like kind of warming up into. Um, I think the last time I was a head coach was 2021. Um, but I mean, it's the same studio that I'm in, and it's a lot of the same hard work that I was doing before. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm feeling confident. The team's definitely getting into the groove of things. We are a very process oriented team for sure. So I think on a day by day, we've been very good about setting goals and making sure that we achieve those goals every single day. So that's where a lot of my confidence comes from coming into the matches that we have in about 2 weeks now.
Yeah, of course. It's been a pretty long and interesting road for you, and you said competing in the same studio but not in the same game and with a different team, as a matter of fact. And so how has it been, transitioning from evil geniuses to 100 thieves, from assistant to head coach? But of course you already had that kind of role experience to begin with, in your past teams throughout your career. And so even so, like how has it been transitioning from EG 200 Thieves, and how would you compare the teams that you were with, in addition to that?
I would definitely say that 100 Thieves was one of my favorite orgs that I'd ever been a part of. I've been now a part of TSM, CLG, EG, and NRG. And I would say, with flying colors, 100 Thieves is the best org I've ever been a part of. Back when I was in LCS and even now, things haven't changed too much on like that front. Um, and I would say the transition from EG to 100 Thieves was pretty seamless. Me coming into EG, I had a talk with the GM at that time, that I definitely wanted to get my foot in the door with Valorant, and I had already gotten some experience when I was on NRG. And I made it clear that I only wanted like a 1 year contract because my goal wasn't to stay an assistant coach forever, but was to move to the head coach position like I was in League of Legends.
Mhm.
Um, so coming out of this offseason, obviously it's we won the whole thing. We won champs, so it was pretty easy as a selling point, I guess, to transition into the head coach role from assistant coach role. Um, but I would say with it becomes, comes more responsibility, but also more power in uh, being able to choose the direction of the team, which feels very, very good because I don't have to play to just like suggest, I guess, suggest what I
Mhm.
think would be best for the team, but instead that I can actually steer the ship in the way that I want to steer it.
Yeah, of course, of course. It really is a pretty good difference to consider when it comes to being on the forefront of a team as the head coach, compared to just being the assistant coach and just having to ride alongside the person in the front, and stuff like that. And so, even so, what were some of the takeaways that you feel you made from your time in EG that you then felt, that you then put into use in in your new position, in 100 Thieves? What kind of things did you take away from your previous team for this go around?
Um, there was a lot of things I'd say. I'd say obviously when you're a part of a team that's winning a lot of stuff, there's a lot of good stuff that we must be doing to get us to that point. So I'd say we as a team just had a lot of really good chem when it came to like how we played off of each other in game. I'd say that's probably like the biggest thing that I took away from. Um, Kind of this concept of any play can be good as long as you're doing it with someone else or if you're doing it off of somebody else. We were just a very, very good team at making plays with one another. And I think that was probably like the most important takeaway that I had overall, and definitely something that we are adding into this team as much as we can. I know last year there was a lot of talk about 100 Thieves being like a really passive team, and I think a lot of that ended up being due to like a lot of I guess like fear of failure kind of mentality. Whereas this year we're taking a new approach, being a lot more risk averse, or not, sorry, not being risk averse. We're
Mhm.
just making sure that people are willing to take risks, willing to go for plays that they think will work, and that they're finding a way to pull somebody into the play. So even if we see somebody doing what what most people would deem a grief play, it's going to be everybody trying to think of a way to support it. Whether it be just like them shooting their gun so the other guy doesn't know that he's in the smoke, or basic things like that, just to make sure that every play that we go for, there's a little bit of like team play aspect to it, uh, and that in general we're going to be a lot more aggressive.
Percent, you'll do exactly that with a brand new with a brand new roster that consisted of like of those already within the team before you joined, and also the new ones that joined alongside you. Them being EU and then Busio. Of course, Busio. I can't. How much can be said about your experience with Busio, given that you were with him in the previous team, but also uh, um, how's it been looking at the progression of the team during the off season? In light of how it was formed with Bustio officially joining the team at the start of this year. And so, how have you viewed the team's progression in the offseason with you at the forefront um, prior to the start of this coming year?
Um, there definitely is a difference in terms of like the way that we run this team versus how the three core uh kind of treated their last iteration of the team. Um, Coming in, I definitely brought in a lot of like I want people to be calling each other out if they think that things can be done better. The only way we improve as a team is that we use all of the minds in the room, not just listen to one guy, not just listen to me, Boostio, or like Mike, for all of the feedback. It's important that everybody kind of understands that they're like masters of their craft and that they have different insights that are going to lead us to like winning things. So a lot of it is like us trying to get equal contribution from everyone, making sure that if you think something's wrong, make sure you bring it up because we need to figure out how to get on the same page about these things. And at times there will be arguments. Fortunately, we have like a super, super good group of guys where everybody's pretty, I guess, not that argumentative.
Mhm.
Um, so we're able to give feedback a lot in a really productive way. And that was like primarily the thing that we wanted to do, bringing me and Busio into the team. And I think that me and Busi are like the heads of that culture, and we like live by it. So we want to make sure that, we call people out and that we're good role models for the other players, and that as a result of that, they're going to call each other out. Like, for example, like Sean's been bringing up when people die during his Viper all round as an example, and
Mhm.
making sure that people don't die, needlessly during those rounds, so that we can actually convert the rounds whenever he has his advantage. Um, just details like this are things that it's super, super important that people feel comfortable bringing up, because if you let these things just fester over the long period of time, and people never fix it, then, we'll never find the improvement in those rounds where, Sean would be secretly tilted the whole day because it keeps happening,
Mhm.
uh, even though he's never brought it up. Now he's bringing it up, and then we're going to find a solution for it. This is kind of the mentality we have moving forward, and why I feel pretty confident with this team, because we've had a really good process coming into now the first day of February. We've been scrimming for about a month's time, and we have our matches coming up in about 2 weeks. Um, there's been a lot of improvement, and we have a lot of reps that we need to get to improve our team chem to fully be there. But it's definitely improving at a really, really solid rate.
Of course, and I want to now touch upon what it's like working with Mike's, because of course it's an interesting dynamic. We're looking at Hundred Thieves and how Mike's was the head coach for the team last season, and now with you being the head coach for this team, Mike's went to the assistant role. So how has it been working with him in particular amongst the coaching side of things within the team?
Working with Mike's is super easy, I'd say. I think he's a person that likes to get people feeling comfortable. Uh, he's a very patient guy in the sense that like he doesn't really want to talk over you. He'll wait out hearing you out and hearing out your point and then respond after. I'm definitely not that patient of a guy. So I definitely am not someone that's going to always not talk over you on accident just because I'm passionate about my stances or about my like thoughts on the game. Um, so it's incredibly easy because he does a great job like supporting and making sure that people have everything that they need so that they can fully focus on the game. Like, I mean, yeah, he's helped players move in to their apartments. He's taken players to IKEA. Like everything that you could imagine would be like that your best friend would do for you. Like he's constantly looking out for the players and making sure that they're doing or that they're taken care of. And then just working with him, like me and his relationship, we have a pretty healthy balance of right now he's doing a lot of the defense work, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I'll still, ask a ton of questions and make sure that the defense is exactly how I'd want to see it, or that it all just makes sense logically. Um, which I mean, it may get on his nerves at times. I have no idea. I mean, we have to talk about it a bit, but it's something that, it's still an ongoing process where me and him are working together with clearly set roles and responsibilities. Ultimately, I'll have final decision on everything, but he has his lane where he gets like he gets to show his mastery. Because the way I've always seen it is with assistant coaches, you should talk to them and try to figure out what they exactly specialize in or where they feel their identity strongest, and try to get the most value out of that. Because as the concept I was talking about before, you want to use the seven brains in the room. You don't want to have like just the one guy's direction only.
Mhm.
You want it to be at least supported by everybody else's thoughts and their own perspectives, so you can come to one solid page that we all agree on.
Right on. And a few more questions before I wrap it up. I think it concerns about the recent changes to the game, of course, with it being so late and just having it affect the pro level. I want to know your perspective and your take as to how it affects your team in particular, because this is a question that I asked your some of your players prior to this conversation, and they have
Okay.
said that it has affected the team and how they prepares for their upcoming opponents in kickoff and then everything outside of that or beyond that. So for you as the coach, how do you think this changes to the game, i.e., map pool, agents, compositions, stuff like
Yeah.
that? How does that affect your team?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that uh I would say mostly I don't mind the map changes so much. I would say that the only annoying thing from a team side is that we felt a bit blindsided, obviously, by the sky change and the halls change, because that just kind of like suddenly patch hits and oh look, would you look at that, the halls is back, and sky is like pretty hard nerfed. I know a lot of teams right now are just looking for what best fits them in terms of like these solutions. I think what's interesting to me at the very least is that there's no clear meta when it comes to like those maps. Like Split had always had like a super strong defined meta. A lot of teams, like the majority of teams, were running Jet Ray, Sky, Viper, plus Smoke's character Astra or Omen. Um, and over time, some teams went away from it, but a lot of teams still relied on the Sky. And Sky was picked in some like 90% plus of Split, Bind, Lotus, as a solo initiator, and suddenly she's. Some teams think that she's gone entirely. Some teams think that she's fine. Um, but yeah, a lot of teams, yeah, they're scrambling right now to figure out what exactly their new identity, I guess, is going to be on those maps. Um, and we're looking at it too. We're trying to figure out exactly what best fits for us. We think we've found definitely something that's going to work for us for the future. But it's something we're gonna have to build upon and make sure that we get a ton of reps on. Because, like I said, it definitely is like a bit of a blind side in terms of now, a few of our maps have entirely different comps that we were practicing on for a few weeks' time leading up to the change happening last week. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I mean, ultimately, it did end up deleting, I guess I'll say, a lot of our prep for some of the maps. Um, but these things happen in League of Legends. It happens every 2 weeks. So you have to
Mhm.
revamp your entire draft, revamp your entire like champion pool. So I'm not like I'm not going to be mad about some changes. You just have to move forward, and everybody's playing the same ball game. It's like for some of them, for some teams, the changes are going to impact them more than us. And for some teams, it's the perfect change. Like they don't have a strong Sky player, then instantly they're benefiting. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's going to be different team to team. I don't want to give anything too much about ourselves, but yeah, we're looking at what our solution will be for those maps, and we think we're pretty confident we found something that we can be consistent with that we think is good.
Yeah, and hopefully that's something that you guys have found does lead to that home run that you alluded to earlier on in the answer. Zix, really appreciate you taking the time, just answering all my questions as well as you did. Thank you so much again, and best of luck goes to the team and also for you in the future.
Thank you.